to you all. Welcome to the next episode of the Next Generation Role Model Show. Thank you for joining us. I'm very excited to have a new guest today, and his name is Matthew Walzer, and he is an advocate for people with disabilities. And I'm so excited to have him here because he really has made such a huge impact on people around the world. And he made that impact on people when he wrote one letter when he was 16 years old. So I'm going to bring him in now. Come in, Matthew Walzer.
Hi, Victoria. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Welcome to the show. We're so excited to talk to you today.
Very excited to be here. Thank you.
So what I want to know from you, first of all, I gave you a little bit of an introduction. Can you tell us when you first knew you wanted to be an advocate for people with disabilities?
Yeah, so I think that moment for me, I want to give people a little bit of a background first. So I was born 2 months premature, and I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy around 2 years old. And my CP affects my walking and my balance, vision, and fine motor skills. And I've overcome a lot of challenges pertaining to my disability. But the one thing that I've never really overcame is being able to tie my shoes. So when I was in high school and looking to go away to college, I decided to write an open letter to Nike asking for shoes that anyone could put on, regardless of physical ability. And because I knew that shoes were really one of the only things stopping me from going away to college and living on my own. So once that letter actually went viral on the internet, kind of by accident, a happy accident, I never really intended it for it to get as big as it did in the beginning. But once I got feedback from parents of kids with disabilities, and even people with disabilities about how they struggle with shoe tying and similar physical challenges, that's when I knew that advocating was something I was meant to do.
What an incredible story. And what an amazing thing at 16 years old to write a letter like that, which must have been a very powerful letter, because you really got the attention of one of the biggest companies in the world. And tell me what the shoe, because obviously they then created a shoe. Tell me about what that shoe is like, or if you can show me.
Yes, actually, so I struggle with obviously tying my shoes. And also I have a lack of, it's called dorsiflexion and plantar flexion in my feet. So I have a hard time sliding my foot down and into a shoe. So some of my first conversations with Nike almost 10 years ago now were about my physical challenges. And one of the prototype concepts that they presented me with was a rear entry prototype where you slide your foot in the shoe from the heel, so you don't have to make that downward motion. And obviously there's not shoelaces involved. It's a Velcro strap. And so that concept, it was a 3-year collaboration between Nike and myself from 2012 to 2015, and that ultimately led to what is now the FlyEase line of accessible footwear. And it's a whole range of shoes, men's, women's, kids sizes, basketball, running. It's a whole gamut.
Wow, what an incredible achievement. That really is amazing. And not only did they make one shoe, but they've made a whole line for kids and for men and women. Yeah, that's such a big achievement. And now I know, Matthew, you're going around and doing various speaking engagements around the world, which is really, really incredible too. And thank you so much for being such an inspiration for other people, and not only overcoming your challenges, but helping others overcome theirs. We're delighted to have you as part of our family here at the Next Generation Role Model Show. And actually, I came to find your profile on Instagram, and obviously, you know, you're busy on Instagram posting what you're up to, and you're creating a great little fan base there. How do you intend to use your platform to give hope to your generation and to inspire others?
Yeah, I think it's, since social media has certainly been a big positive thing for a lot of people, but certainly in my case, it really has been amazing to share my story with so many people, and also have that sense of camaraderie and community within the disability community. Share stories of triumph and struggle, and really my big overarching goal is to encourage people to reach out to me, share what they're going through, have a disability, like, because we've all lived it and we've all been there. And sometimes we think that, oh, there's no one else out there that knows what I'm going through, because in my opinion, having a disability is probably one of the most unique challenges that a person can face in their life. And so you don't always have someone to lean on to talk about stuff with. And so I think that's really important as a whole, to support people and share our stories and our struggles.
Absolutely. And what advice do you give? So say that, you have someone that approaches you on Instagram and they need help. What's the kind of advice that you give to other kids who are starting out with disabilities?
Well, I think that it's important to have a role model and someone to look up to in general. And I think I want my story to resonate with people in the way that it doesn't matter where you come from, what your limitations are, what your physical challenges are, how anything else. And one person, one letter, one person calling out to take action and make a difference can change the world. And I think that's what's important, is to never really give up, and just do the best that you can.
That's so powerful. One person, one letter, and it can really change the world, which is really, really incredible. Where do you see yourself, Matthew, in 10 years' time?
Well, in 10 years, I'll be 35, which is a little scary to think about. But, I just want to continue to advocate for people with disabilities. I think that there's so much more work to be done. Not even within getting away from the shoe industry and the fashion industry, but there's so much more that people with disabilities deserve in society. And for so long, people with disabilities have had to adapt to the world around us, and kind of what we're given and what society dealt us. And I think that, the world hopefully will start, and it certainly has started to happen, but continue to start adapting and listening to the disabled community and what our needs are. Because the ultimate goal in 10 years or however long it takes is to have the most, equitable society and world and accessible world as possible.
Yeah, so really changing the world so that you can therefore feel accepted, and like you said, that there's help and justice
Yeah,
for
and
people who
I think
have.
representation also is so important. You know, we're really starting to see products geared towards people with disabilities, slowly but surely. Also, representation in media and film, I think, is really, really important. And I think that um, just we shouldn't be afraid to talk about having um, a show based on a character with a disability. For those that are watching, Atypical is a show on Netflix based on a character on the autism spectrum. Now, while the actor that plays the main character does not have autism, the show strive to get other actors and actresses on the autism spectrum to be on the show, and just to have a story like that. If you haven't watched it, it's told in a really, really authentic way, and they don't shy away from what people on the autism spectrum deal with. And so I think it's only right to continue going down that path of telling the authentic stories of people with disabilities.
I agree, because it's such a powerful medium, the television and the film industry. It's so, so powerful, and it can easily change the way people think and the way people view things. So that's a really important thing. Now, let's talk about being a role model. Here you are, our newest next generation role model on the show. We're so happy to have you as part of our family. And I'd like to know from you, what does it mean to you to be a role model or a youth leader?
I think it really does mean, it truly means a lot. And to kind of be thrust into that, because like I said, when I wrote that letter 10 years ago, it's kind of when it all started. It was something that I was really happy that was going on. Like, I was truly moved by the amount of people that started to reach out and say that they have those same struggles. But to be a voice in the disabled community at large is something that I'm really proud of. And to not just raise awareness around disability, but I think it's also important to drive change, or at least attempt to drive change, because awareness is great, but you get to the point where you also need to, have a goal in mind. Like, what's the end goal? What are you trying to accomplish, rather than just raising awareness around a condition?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And as you said, you were 16 years old when you wrote that letter.
Yeah.
And that was obviously a pivotal time in your life. You wanted to take a stand for what you saw that needed to be changed.
Yeah.
And what a powerful letter that must have been. Talk to me about how other kids reacted to you at school when they found out that Nike was going to make a whole shoe line, and that was something that you made happen. Talk to me about their reactions.
Yeah, I mean, when it happened, I wrote the letter in the summer, right before school started back up, and I was in high school at the time. And so once I got back to school, I had friends I didn't know existed, because everyone was, so proud of me and or wanted to think that, they knew me and were friends and whatnot. But and then once I got my very first pair of shoes that Nike sent me, the first prototype, I was 17 years old, in a junior in high school, and that was the first time I'd ever put my shoes on independently in my life. And so that was a really, really, really special moment for me. And I remember posting it on Instagram as soon as I got them and put them on. I wore them to school the next day. Everybody wanted to see them, and it seemed like, at least half the school knew that Nike had said and made me shoes. and I had teachers come up to me I didn't even know and congratulate me. And then once so when Fly Shoes launched, you know, for everybody, I was in college at that point, and that was also really special. Now to know that, you know, the rest of the world um, now has that same level of independence and sense of freedom from being able to put your own shoes on every morning, which is such a surreal feeling when a big milestone like that happens, you know, later in life, when you finally achieve that. It's just such a magical feeling.
Oh, like you said, utterly magical. And we're also so proud of you too, Matthew. It really is an amazing accomplishment.
Thank you.
And yeah, and you are an inspiration and a role model to others. Now let's talk about you and your favorite role model for a second. Who is your favorite role model? And if you met them, what would you do with them?
Yeah, so one of my biggest role models and heroes, I would say, and someone who's had a really profound impact on my life, despite really being only in their presence one or two times, was a doctor of mine, a surgeon. Dr. T.S. Park works at St. Louis Children's Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri, and he is a neurosurgeon. And when I was 4 years old, I underwent a surgery called a selective dorsal rhizotomy. And it's really a great surgery for people, younger people, because they said the younger you get the surgery, the better, who have spastic diplegic cerebral palsy, which is the type of CP that I have. And basically it's a small incision in the spine, and they go in and take out or try to find and remove the nerve endings in the spine that are causing muscle tightness and spasticity. Because with cerebral palsy, your muscle tone is naturally stiffer, so it would cause a harder time walking, harder time sitting up on your own, balance issues, gait issues, things like that. And that surgery truly, you know, I didn't understand the impact it would have when I was 4 years old. But as I've gotten older, looking back, I really realized not only just that surgery, but also my parents are probably my other biggest set of role models and heroes. I was their firstborn, and they were kind of thrust into having a child who was really sick when I was born, and kind of, okay, what's the best plan of action and treatment and care for our son? So they had to make all of the, you know, those decisions to give me the best quality of life possible. And obviously opting to go and do a spinal surgery, thousands of miles away from where I live, because, excuse me, I live in Florida, and, you know, St. Louis is a ways away. Is, you know, it's a big decision, but I'm really grateful. And actually, I spoke to Dr. Park on the phone the other day. I set up a phone call with him, and it was the first time I had spoken to him, or since he's seen me when I was a little boy. But he had my chart pulled up on his computer, and he's like, yes, you know, you had your surgery in October of 1999, and, you know, how are you doing, and where'd you go to school? And he knew, you know, about the Nike stuff, and he even wanted to make sure I was doing physically. And he's like, are you stretching? Are you exercising? And giving me, and just in those 10 minutes, I knew that just what a genuine person he is. I mean, I never had a doubt, but just really having that conversation really made an impact on me, to know that this is a doctor that's not just, you know, being a surgeon to make money. He's a surgeon to help the lives of people with disabilities. So
Wow.
yeah.
What an incredible story, Matthew. What an incredible story. And to talk to him all of those years later, it's really wonderful. Wow, what a role model for you. Can you tell his name one more time?
Yes, Dr. T.S. Park. So TS are his initials, and then Park is his last name.
Dr. T.S. Park, and that's at the Missouri Children's
St. Louis, the St. Louis Children's Hospital.
St. Louis Children's Hospital. Okay, brilliant. Let's talk about charities now, because I know that you are an ambassador for Awareness Ties.
Yes.
And I know that you have been for a while. Talk to me about your role with them and what you've done to support them.
Yeah, so I've been an ambassador for Awareness Ties since March. Actually, I came on board with them on National Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day, which was March 25th. And Awareness Ties is a great online publication. And actually, probably any, how do I explain, there are any category of a struggle that a person might be going through, a challenge that they might face, that I can think of at least, they have an ambassador for. And every month in their online magazine, they're highlighting different causes. So in March, it was a lot of focus on disability, since March was Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, and obviously bringing me on board. And I was actually featured in their magazine in February, a month prior, and I had a great interview with them. It's also online. You can watch it and listen to it. But and then in June this month, the magazine just came out the other day, featured a lot of stories of heroes and people within the LGBTQ plus community for Pride Month. And so they just do a lot of great work bringing out the real and raw stories of people who are struggling or have overcome challenges in their lives. And they do it by bringing in real people, real everyday people who, you know, the name of the game for Awareness Ties is real and authentic. And Allie and Jack, they are in charge of Awareness Ties. They're a great couple. And if you guys are listening, what you do is amazing. So I'm really happy to be on board with them.
That's great. And actually, a couple of our next generation role models are also ambassadors for Awareness Ties.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
Causes, yes. So I do know the charity very well, and I'm delighted to hear that you're working with them. And when we have our next generation role model in-person events, which of course you'll be invited to, you'll be able to meet the other role models, and I'm sure you'll be able to talk to them about your causes and what you do.
Thank you. I like that. Yeah, it'd be nice. It's going to be nice eventually to do more things in person again. So
absolutely, and we're very excited to have our launch event very soon once we can get it back to being in person, because our role models are actually all around the world. You know, they're on both sides of the coast in America, and they're in England, they're in Portugal and Spain, and they're all over the place. So we want to make sure we can get all our role models together in one place so that you can all meet each other. But it's definitely going to be a very big event. So we're very excited about that. Thank you, Matthew, for being our role model and for being on the show and giving us such an incredibly detailed account of who you are and your struggles and what you've been through. And once again, you know, writing that letter at 16 and having one of the biggest companies in the world create a shoe line, and then therefore having an amazing impact on other people with disabilities. Thank you so much. And you are a next generation role model.
Thank you. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for having me. And I'm very excited to be a part of this family now. So thank you.
We're so excited to have you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again for being on the show. And I can't wait to meet you in person.